Hello, everybody, and welcome back to week 41 of tracking our local shifting real estate market here in Burlington, Camden, and Gloucester counties of southern New Jersey. And this week, we have a continuation of the trend that we have been following for our listings and our median list price. We'll get into that just a bit. But I may have an answer for you at the end of this. I may have what could be the make or break for a lot of you listening to this of whether you are even going to be willing to enter the market or not. And this is going to be a change-up of the tools and resources you thought you'd be entering to the real estate market with, and it's a significant increase in the quality of those. So let's get through our stats real quick, and then I don't want to tease for too long. So first things first, total active listings, 1,473. It's a great number as compared to the 1,400 last week. In our blue graph here, you can see our September average was 1,381, right? 1,381 here. We have that 1,381 over here. We're already at 1,473. So this has been a really steady incline for us, showing those total active listings on the market has been steadily increasing. And it's been increasing basically since April, when we were at the complete doldrums of that terrible affordability and inflation issue that kind of popped up on us earlier this year. So that's great. Our golden ratio intact this week. More new listings came on than went under contract, and more went under contract than actually closed. Now, this closed number is a little odd. That's quite low. Only 230 closed units this week in all three counties. We haven't seen numbers like that since back in almost January and very early February. We had numbers that looked like that. So that's a little odd to see it that low. That might just be more of a 1 week anomaly, but we'll keep an eye on that one. As far as our expired, withdrawn, and cancels, still quite low, not a big deal. Our price reductions, they're over 100, but still kind of right in line with what we were expecting. Days on market, a touch better, but not by anything overly meaningful. And then volume is up a lot. Volume's up almost 27, 28 million. But that makes sense, right? That correlates very much to our total active listings here. So, and median list price staying flat at our 339. So for all that we can see here, I'm pretty happy with this. Prices have not been increasing, but we have had more listings come on the market. That part I like, right? That part is great. Now, as we look at our September averages, right? We finally are here first week in October. We get to start looking back and actually looking at some of these September averages. And those are the two storylines. If you had told me, Connor, we're going to increase the active available listings and prices will stay exactly the same, I would have said great. I think it's unrealistic for me to expect the prices to reverse course, right? So that wouldn't have been the other side of this. And in pure economics, you'd say, oh, I increase the supply. Well, the demand needs to come down. Demand being constant, the price needs to come down. Problem is, our demand hasn't really gone anywhere, so we're not really going to take the hit on the pricing side of things. And also, as buyers continue to look at this market, buyers are still trying to be competitive. So they are still in that mindset of trying to attack what the seller wants, and that's a slightly over asking price offer, things like that. So there's just a little bit in there. But the median list price hovering for the last 4 months gives me a lot of confidence that I can actually plan affordability conversations. I can actually plan those conversations. Now, the other half of that, we had Mackenzie Dottie on with NFM last week. We talked about, interest rates are almost up over 8 at the moment. And he was even, he's saying that, the goal is to reduce it to 7 next year and then get down to maybe 6 in 2025, something like that. Already losing track of my years. But before that happens, we may actually end up in the 9% with interest rates. So that's the concerning part, is that the affordability is still getting hurt from the interest rate side of things, not from the prices side of things. So from the real estate side, from the actual homes, the prices are actually staying, but that interest rate is shooting up. Okay. That's all well and good. That's all the stats. That's all we kind of need to talk about for today on that. However, let's break script here a little bit. And I'm going to talk directly to you about what I think is a solution to the problem. Let's take two scenarios. One is going to be if you don't own a home currently, and the other is going to be if you do own a home currently, which is all of you. You either own a home or you don't own a home. So you're in one of these two categories. Let's start with the I don't have a home, but I'm looking to purchase one. And, you have a conventional or you have a VA loan, and you're just sitting here saying, man, do I even stand a chance? I feel like everything that's going right now, there's cash bids and all these different things. How am I supposed to compete with cash? I have $17,000. I have $24,000. I have $37,000 in my bank account. How am I supposed to go and buy a $200,000, $300,000 home and compete with cash offers, right? How can I do that? You can't. You can't. In that sense, all other terms equal, your financing and their cash, cash will win every time. And the reason why cash wins is because it removes a huge concern of the sellers. And that's your ability to qualify for financing while they're under contract. And it's the appraisal contingency of some other random mortgage company telling me what my home is worth via an appraisal. When you buy cash, you don't need an appraisal. And so you remove a lot. That's why cash wins, right? All right, we should know some of that at this point. But the problem is now I'm still that conventional buyer who's going to put 5 to 10% down on my conventional loan, and I want to be able to compete with these people, right? There is a program available in about 25 of the 50 states right now through Annie Mac Mortgage. Okay, Annie Mac is a big, reputable mortgage company. Okay, they came out with a program called Cash to Keys. Now, let me see if I can explain this quickly here. What I'm going to also do is probably go into the weeds with this and make a whole separate video, a couple, maybe three, four videos. I'll put them on my YouTube channel. I'll send them out in this same format as I'm sending these out to you. So if you're getting this, you'll get those. I'll go into more detail, but here's the nuts and bolts of it. Annie Mac is a mortgage company, okay? They have partnered with a private equity firm. Okay, a private equity firm is just basically a firm that has a lot of money for this example. So they've partnered with this private equity firm. And what they're basically saying is this. In their Cash to Keys program, if you don't own a home currently, here's what you can do. You're going to go through that transaction basically as if you were going to be buying with that conventional mortgage. If at any point you are unable to obtain financing, there's a small issue on your end with your financing, this Cash to Keys, the private equity, will buy the house cash. And so what that does is it alleviates the concern that a seller would have of your offer. They may say, hey, well, I have two offers. I have this full cash offer, but it's only at $280,000. And you want to buy my house at $290,000, so $10,000 more, but you want to use a 10% conventional. Now, in a normal situation, that seller would probably look at those two things and say, even though the 280 is a little bit lower, there's a little bit more risk with this 290, so I'm going to take the 280 cash offer because they're mitigating risk. They're willing to give up $10,000 of profit in order to not take on the risk of you getting financing. Now, if you were to have submitted this offer as a Cash to Keys offer, you have now become a cash offer equivalent. You're going to process the transaction and you're going to run in with your mortgage. And at the time of getting the mortgage, you're going to take 2% of the purchase price and you're going to put it with Annie Mac. So here's the kicker, right? Here's your cost, right? Connor, what's the penalty? What's the fee? What's the cost? If everything goes according to plan, you owe zero outside of what you would just pay a lender to do a loan. But here's how it works. They're going to take 2% from you up front, almost like a secondary escrow deposit. And we're going to run the transaction like a mortgage. And if you close with that mortgage, you went in with a 5 or 10% conventional, you go through, have the home inspection, you have your appraisal, everything goes through, your finances are fine, we go and we close on the property. Well, guess what? You are refunded that entire 2%. And then the only money that Annie Mac will have made off of you will just be the normal loan costs that you have by getting a mortgage. But here's what it says, again, to that seller. Hey, seller, if at any point while this 5 to 10% conventional buyer is going through the process of purchasing your home, and if they have a credit issue or if they have an issue and they can't, if we delay closing or if they have any of these things, I'll come in and I'll just buy it cash. I'm going to stick my buyer in that house. They can rent from me until they sort out their finances, and then they'll buy it from me. Okay. Now, in that situation, you may not get the full 2% back. You may only get 1% back of that refundable fee. So you see how it works? If there's a little bit that goes wrong, yeah, you might pay a little bit to Annie Mac for the service of you being able to get in and pay cash and things like that. But they basically, to make a crude metaphor, it's like when you went to apply for an apartment in college and you had no income or anything to show for, you had a co-signer, right? You had your dad or your grandmother or your uncle or somebody who was a little bit more well off, basically came in and said, hey, my son or my daughter in college doesn't have any income, who's a student, is going to lease this place from you and they're going to pay rent. If at any point they don't pay their rent, the father, grandfather, uncle who has the money, I'll pay the rent for them. That's kind of what you're telling this seller by doing this. Now, again, this fee structure and how these are set up, I'm going to, again, make a couple more videos and I'll go into a lot more detail. I have the FAQ sheet. I even have the guy who created the program for Annie Mac came and did a presentation for us last week. I went and got certified through their program to be Cash to Keys Realtor. I also have 2 loan officers here in Southern New Jersey that are very familiar with this product and have done literally couple hundred of these up to this point, right? So these guys, they know what they're talking about. This isn't something that's just like a flash in the pan. Like, this works, and they're really starting to roll it out, so it starts to become a lot more commonplace to use it and offer similar to this. Okay, let's flip gears here. That's a situation if you don't own a home, right? Here's what I would argue is probably the more common scenario for you if you're sitting on the sidelines getting this and you're saying, Connor, we'd love to move, but we're terrified. We are terrified of putting our home up on the market, getting a buyer for it, and then we can't find anything. And then we either have to kick that buyer out and cause a whole heck of a lot of issues, or we're going to be homeless, right? That's the big concern, right? So the other half of that program, you have the cash to keys program. Then you have what's called the buy now, sell later. Not sell now, buy later. Buy now, purchase your home now, and then worry about selling your primary residence. And here's how this one works. I'm going to do my best on this one. Talk a little slow and kind of make this a little obvious. You are living in your home right now, and you want to be able to put an offer in on a property. But you know that if you have to go through the thing of listing your home, you have to get a buyer under contract for it, you have to claim your contingency when you then go to purchase the next home, and then you have to balance these things. And especially in a competitive market landscape, a lot of listing agents are going to look at you and say, you're a contingent deal. There's too much risk. I have to make sure that not only do you qualify and you go through and everything goes fine with this transaction, I also have to make sure that the transaction of your home and that buyer goes smoothly. And when I have 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 12 offers to choose from, I'm sorry, but taking a contingent offer is just, they almost get taken out, right? I mean, that literally happens. I'm negotiating multiple listings right now. We have 2 that just went to highest and best and they're due today. I have another one that went to highest and best on Friday. Contingent deals weren't even a consideration, but that's a shame. So here's what the buy now, sell later does. What they do is they're going to allow you to make a cash to keys, cash offer on the home you want while still living in your home. Okay? You're going to move in, you're going to buy the new house, you're going to move into the new house. Now, what's actually happened is that you didn't technically buy the house. Annie Mac Cash to Keys bought your new house and you moved into it, and you're going to start to accrue rent. And it's not like some major market rent or anything. It's basically just what the principal of your mortgage interest, your taxes, your utilities, and any HOA payments, right? So you just start prorating that on a day-to-day basis. So here's what's happened. You still own your home. You went out shopping. You found a home you like. You put an offer in on it, cash offer, because you had this Annie Mac Cash to Keys that worked for you. You went through the home inspection. You got through everything. You went to closing. You closed on the house. You were given the keys by the listing agent. You had your little bottle of wine and champagne at the table. Great. And now you get to go move into that house. Go move into it. Go get the moving truck. Get the stuff out of your old house. Go move into the new house, the one that you just went and saw and loved and everything like that, right? Now you're in that house. You have 2 weeks from the day you close and move into that house to get your house on the market. Okay. And 2 weeks is plenty of time. Trust me. So you can get yourself out of there. You can do some of those, like spruce it up a little bit. You may say, gosh, we would love to just give this place a fresh coat of paint. We know that the kids have drawn crayons all over the place, or the dog always chewed on that one door jamb or whatever it is, right? So now you have 2 weeks from the time you've moved into your new home to list your old home. And again, now you can deal with listing this old home perfectly staged, fixed up. You're out of there, so you can just let the showings go. You don't have to sit there and try and confirm every single one and have 10 people parading through your house, and you got to take the dog for a walk 17 times a day just to deal with it, right? So you're already moved into your new house. You're just accruing a rent that's not being paid. So you won't have 2 payments, right? You're not paying that rent yet. It'll get deducted all the way at the very end, right? Out of just whatever the prorated amount is. And now we sell your home, right? So, and in this market, if we price your home properly, you guys are looking literally at the average and median days on market, right? The median is about 26, 27 days on market. So you have 195 days to sell your home, and the median is 26. If we price it appropriately and we price it properly, we're all good, right? So now we've listed you're in the new house accruing rent. You're in the new house accruing rent. We have your home listed for sale now on the back end, right? We get that under contract. We go through that inspection. We go through any appraisals. We go through everything. And then effectively on one day, you're going to have 2 transactions. The first transaction is going to be actually selling your old home, and that will go to the new buyer. Okay. Now you have proceeds, and now you're effectively going to buy the house that you're in now that you've been renting, and you're going to buy it from Annie Mac now. So you're not buying it from the old seller. You're buying it from Annie Mac. right? So there are some little things involved from a fees standpoint, but again, it's a very similar process where it's like it's 2% upfront. And then again, as long as everything goes according to plan, as long as you can do it within those 6 months and everything like that, those fees basically drop away. And again, why is Annie Mac doing this and how is Annie Mac making money? They're still making money because you used a mortgage process to purchase this new home, right? It's a cash offer, but it's basically going through that whole lump with it. Now, there's a little bit more involved with this. I don't think I did even a great job explaining this time, right? But this was so important to me. I heard about this last week. I went over to one of the title companies in the area right on 73. I sat down. We sat with the guy who literally created the program and two of the loan officers that run this program and a local attorney who's well versed in this program. That's another big one, to have an attorney who can actually navigate this with you. So it's not only the realtor who knows about it, it's the attorney who knows about it and the loan officer who knows about it. So we can present this in the best possible way for any offer that you're going to do, blah, 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 blah. I'm going to make more on this, but I want to get this out to you because here's the kicker. Here's my call to action, and here's where I'm going to end the video today. If you're sitting there in a home that you like, don't love, and you have been waiting to purchase your next home, but you are super scared about this timing of the market thing, this buy now, sell later program through Annie Mac is, to me, one of the best ways to ease the transition, to make sure that you can move into the new place and not have to worry about putting your life on a truck and timing two transactions. That's the first one, just the ease of it. From a financial standpoint, it's quite affordable. This isn't something that's adding tens of $1,000s to your bottom line. It will add a little bit of money to your bottom line. There is a fee associated with doing this. But I would argue that the small, in comparison to everything you're doing here, the small fee that doesn't get paid to me, the realtor, it's part of Annie Mac. It's part of the private equity. It's part of their program that does this. That small amount, isn't that worth it getting you from A to B? Isn't it worth getting you from where you're at now, where you feel a little stuck, to getting into that new place? Now, again, I get it. You're sitting here saying, this all sounds great, and there's going to be hidden fees that rake me over the coals and make this thing way more expensive than I wanted it to be, and now I have a financial stress on top of the whole thing. I get that. And what I'm going to attempt to do in those next couple videos of where I put this out, and I'm going to really work on this to make sure that I answer as many of these questions as humanly possible. I might even set up something maybe at the end of November or at the end of at the end of October, where we can have one of those loan officers come on and do a session with me, and we might just break that whole thing down as best as I can, hear from the horse's mouth a little bit. So anyway, at the moment, though, they've done over 250, 300 of these year to date, here in first week of October. So this isn't something that like just came out. This has been out for 2.5 years now, but it's really only started to gain steam here in the past year. There's a lot of skepticism towards it. But now all of a sudden they're seeing that they have a wild track record of success with this. They're finally starting to come out and really push this a little bit more because they're saying, great, we've kind of gone through our trial runs. This really works. If you're interested in learning anything about the Cash to Keys program, about being able to have a cash equivalent offer as a non-contingent buyer without a home to buy, or if you're considering learning a little bit more about this buy now, sell later program, I know I have clients right now who I'm going to be talking to about with this, who have had this similar issue. Please let me know. Reach out to me. I'm happy to put you in touch with. I'll talk through the program with you because I have all the sheet. I'm just, again, this is my first video even getting excited to talk about it. I'm happy to put you in touch with one of the loan officers in the area that does it. I'm happy to put you in touch with the attorney in the area who is very familiar with it. Whatever sense of corroboration you need to understand that this isn't some flash in the pan program, right? This isn't just some weird thing that's happening once and in a month it's going to be gone. This has 2.5 years of success, and it has hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of transactions that have gone through with incredible completion rates where they don't ever have to like charge buyers any of these fees and things like that. That's the high majority. Please get in touch with me. I'm happy to talk with you about it. That's going to do it for us this week in week 41. I'm hoping to just bring more of that to you in the coming weeks because, again, this to me is changing the landscape of your ability as a buyer or as a seller to enter to this market and actually compete with cash offers and actually compete with being non-contingent. Have a great day, everybody. You can tell I'm a little ramped up and a little excited about this. I think it's pretty good. Talk to you soon. Bye.